my beauties and bees? Welcome to HiveScience. We got a little bit of EcoNews coming at you today. This is going to be probably the longest HiveScience EcoNews they've ever done. It's actually got a video I'm responding to. And it's not a long video. It's like 6 minutes, but generally I don't respond to content creators on HiveScience. So this is a first. I think this might be a first. Maybe not. I can't remember for sure, but let me know if I sound all right and if everything sounds okay, because we're just going to dive right into not wanting to eat bugs is now a racist conspiracy theory. Yeah, I watched this video and this guy goes on a rant about how just eating bugs is ooey and gross. And we're going to see what he has to say. Here we go.
Read, NPR ridiculed for regurgitating the claim that the movement to push bug food on the masses is a racist conspiracy theory. And I stopped right there and immediately went to NPR's website to find out if this was actually true and not just some random person on Twitter. And it is. And the article's titled, "This right-wing conspiracy theory about eating bugs is about as racist as you think. I will not eat the bugs" became a meme on 4chan.
Yeah, but the idea that they're pushing it on people, though, is ridiculous. It's like, it is a conspiracy theory. They're like sneaking bugs into your food. Someone shared a meme on, maybe I'll bring that over too. Let me see. I think it was one of my patrons, Greg, that sent it. Let me see about the list of things that have bugs included in them. Hold on, I'll clear my. It's been a minute. Here we go. Bug alert. Yeah. Let me bring that over real quick. Yeah, this. Bug alert. Look out for the following additives in your food: Grillodes cingulatus, dried crickets; Tenebrio molitor, whole or ground mealworms; Locustus migratoria, whole or ground grasshoppers; Ashita domesticus, whole and ground crickets. They are going to add to your food. Make sure you check ingredients before you buy. Look at the small print. What would be wrong with your food having these things in them if there's nothing unhealthy about it? Just because it's ooey, I guess. It's because it's ooey, right? That's the answer? Yeah. All right, here we go.
And it emerged in conservative talk shows and political speech. But why has it gained traction? In this week's Code Switch, Gene Demby, an NPR reporter name I cannot pronounce and will not try to, dive into the sprawling conspiracy theory behind it. Proponents of the theory lean on the anti-Semitic trope that global elites have a plot to control the masses, in this case under the guise of climate change solutions, by forcing people to eat bugs. And
it's nobody's forcing anybody. It's ridiculous that you're claiming that this is that because they say, hey, insect protein may be food of the future for solutions, because we're saying, hey, these insects are okay to eat, and we might raise a future generation who is okay with eating insects, is okay with mealworms and cricket flour and things like that as a food source, which is perfectly good and healthy for humans to eat, and is part of our natural diet as a species for hundreds of thousands of years. But go off.
It's a 33-minute interview or radio show, which, yes, I listen to, and I could boil it down just like this. The people who are being named, Alex Jones, the Ben Shapiros, some Greek, Dutch, weird person speaking a language that I can't pronounce,
because they're the ones pushing it as a conspiracy that they're going to force it on us, that they're going to force insect protein on the population. No, we're saying, hey, our current agricultural models are not sustainable. What are some models that we can predict for the future and we can start working on that'll be more sustainable? And insect protein is one of those. So is lab-grown meat. Yeah, so again, go off.
All these people are talking about different things and also adding the bug eating concept to it. And the game of this radio show is to say, hey, these people are making this thing trend, so you shouldn't take it seriously because they're just a bunch of right-wing conspiracy theory nuts. And at first, I thought maybe they have a point. But then I thought to myself, and I said, self, how is it that these people are only painting it as conservatives spouting a bunch of nonsense about eating bugs when if you go on
Because they're saying that people are going to be forced to eat bugs.
NPR's website and you type in bug or insect like many people did and posted to Twitter, you will find things like this. Are insects the future of food? Etymologist Marcel Dickey, yes, I'm pronouncing it like that, wants us to reconsider our relationship with insects, promoting bugs as tasty and ecologically sound alternative to meat in an increasingly hungry world. At a bug eating festival, kids crunch down on the food of the future. Elementary school student Holly Hook takes a deep breath, crinkles her nose, and pops a cricket into her mouth. Chewing thoughtfully, she looks up and smiles. It's good. Although the thought of eating insects might make many parents in the United States cringe, people living in the 80% of the world's countries that consume bugs probably wouldn't bat an eyelash over Holly's crunchy snack. Neither would a small but growing.
Right, because it's just Western cultures that you've been conditioned to think, ew. It's because you think it's ewy to you. It's because you've been conditioned that ew, bugs. No, that's not how it. They're just as much food as the mammals that you've been conditioned to eat, the birds that you've been conditioned to eat, the aquatic crustaceans that you've been conditioned to eat, because insects are just terrestrial crustaceans. So you're okay with eating water bugs, shrimp, lobster, crayfish. Oh, but when they live on land, oh no.
Team of renowned chefs and scientists from across North America who are trying to persuade kids to eat insects at the Brooklyn Bugs Festival. By 2050, there will be more than 9 billion people on the planet, and the United Nations estimates that to feed everyone, sustainable food production will have to increase by 70%, and bugs will need to be a critical source of protein. Your ancestors probably ate insects, so what's bugging you? Grossed out by that maggot squirming in your apple? Your ancestors weren't. In fact, they probably would have popped the offending critter into their...
Yeah, but that's our ancestors would also eat other organisms raw and wriggling too. Like a fish, you'd pull a fish out of the river, eat it like that too. You don't have to do that now. You can cook it.
Their mouths and relished in its savory flavor. Maybe it's time to swap burgers for bugs. Yes, we talk a lot about eating bugs here at The Salt. We know because some of you have complained about it. But insect cuisine isn't just a crazy fad for Bay Area and Dutch foodies or for Israelis plagued by locusts.
And locusts are really good. So are cicadas. We're going to talk about that here in a minute too.
A report out this week, the UN's agriculture arm makes the case for why insects should be an option for dinner. The Food and Agriculture Organization has been pondering bugs as protein source since 2003. But in a new report, the agency argues that insects might be essential to feeding a planet of 7 billion people. Why? They're nutritious, better for the environment.
So what they're saying here is that they're working on having the FDA approve insect products as a food source, as an option, not forcing you to eat these, my friend. Though the idea of just being adverse to eating them purely on the basis that they're insects is conditioned. That's not natural.
And other protein sources can generate jobs. So when we want to play the game of this side over here is being a bunch of conspiratorial nut jobs, you have to consider they're getting it from somewhere. And this...
Yeah, but you're going to conflate the fact that that NPR and all these reports and scientists are saying, yeah, these are perfectly reasonable foods to eat, and the FDA should approve them as food, to saying, hey, they're going to force you to eat them. It's a weird flex, bro. You got it all wrong.
This is just one place that wants to play the game of, oh, this entire concept is just some made up thing. And how could you really sit there and say people are trying to push the narrative of bugs being...
And nobody's saying they're not saying they're just pushing the narrative of bugs being food. They're saying that they're going to force you to eat bugs. It's different.
Something that people should be eating in the future and considering that it's something healthy for you and it could create jobs for you. No. Matter of fact, let me ask you a question. Would you
Because it's ooey. Because you think it's ooey. Aw.
look at this and think it's delectable?
Ants are acidic and not culinary. Well, there are some ants. There's these black edible. There's a species of ants that's literally called edible ants, but you don't eat them whole like that. They're ground. But don't be weird. It's just food. This is like pulling again. This is like pulling up a picture of a pig, of not a pig, but a wild boar with tusk and bristle and everything, and being like, "Would you eat this? Would you stick this in your mouth?" You're misrepresenting insect protein because you think it's ooey.
Would you look at this and think it's delectable? Would you look at this?
So, why are you choosing you chose a pest species of cockroach, and now you're choosing a assassin bug with pile of dead ant corpses on its abdomen? You're just again. This is like if I pulled up a picture of a pig and of a chicken and said, "Hey, would you stick this in your mouth?" Like these wild animals. You're so weird.
And think, I would love that as a tasty treat. Would you want this on your salad?
That's not even an insect. That's a centipede. Not even an insect. You don't know what you're talking about.
Would you want this as some?
Now, spiders are also edible, but they're not insects. But there are arachnids that you can eat. Culturally, yeah, they're eaten in some countries the same way that we eat like crab or crab legs, or the way that we eat shrimp. They eat spiders, tarantulas.
Something put in barbecue seasoning? The answer is no, and I hate to break it to any.
Why is the answer no? That's the answer for you. I love eating bugs. I think they're interesting textures and taste, and yeah, that's me though. I'm not trying to force anybody else to do it, but I'm saying the FDA should approve it, and we should have products available for people like me who are into that flavor palette, if you will, an option for us to eat what we want to eat as well. That's natural food for us, and that for us to have an agricultural industry that promotes it. You being grossed out by it is no different than you being grossed out by someone eating seafood. I don't care that you think it's gross. You don't speak for all of us. You don't necessarily speak for the majority of us. You misrepresent the message in and of itself.
Any of you're not racist for it. There is no grounds to lump a bunch of other weird conspiracy theories next.
No one. So who is the race issue? Is that it's not really even a race issue? It's a cultural issue, because it's Western cultures that are that don't eat insects, right? It's just this Western culture. People who lived in Europe or countries where Europeans have colonized, where this idea of eating insects is frowned upon. The rest of the world's like cool with it. Yeah.
Next to bugs, eating them and thinking, it's only these right-wingers and conspiratorial people talking about this. This is something that has been going on for years, and guess what? The populace is not really sticking with it. Why? Because a lot of people, me included, are not interested in eating bugs. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because you've been conditioned that way, but we can shift our culture to catch up with the rest of the world and start considering other food products besides our big fat hamburgers that make us hefty.
This new world where everything's a new idea and everybody thinks every idea is a great idea. I'm not eating no bugs no time soon, and I'm not considering eating bugs anytime soon. I would rather run the risk of eating pig lips, aka pig pussy, for those of you who didn't know what pig lips were and you actually thought they were actual mouth lips of a pig. It won't happen because I have steak, I have bacon, I have...
Have you seen a pig? Have you seen a chicken? Have you seen how chickens crap all over themselves? constantly? Bugs don't do that. Have you seen a pig? They roll around in their own waste. Cows too. In mud. Bugs are clean compared to mammals and birds.
Pizza, I have Cheez-Its, even though those are nasty. I have Pringles, I have pasta. I have food that is actual food, and I will consume that food.
Bugs are actual food too. You're just being weird. What do you do? Where do you don't get to draw the line for all of us. We all, I don't like green beans. I don't know what it is. There's something about the flavor in them that triggers a gag reflex in me. So I'm not out here saying green beans, ugh, have you seen these things? Pull up a picture of green beans looking all slimy and green in a can, looking all unappetizing, and being like, ugh, people should not be expected to eat these. They're disgusting. I could do that. But it's not my place to do that. Just like it's not your place to tell everybody else they can't eat bugs if they want to. It's completely normal, healthy, and reasonable. So stop being weird.
Food, and if there's no more food on the earth, guess what? I'm dying of starvation because eating bugs is not in the equation for me. And if that makes me some hateful racist bigot, cool. I've been called worse for less. Subscribe to the channel. I would love to know if any of you are eating bugs in the near future, and if you will enjoy.
I eat bugs all the time. You're just weird.
Them, and you will say they're oh so good. I will see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.
Probably not. This is probably the only video of yours I'm going to watch, but it just popped up in my feed for some reason, which is weird because you're weird and yeah. Anyway, so that was Ruined Leon. He has a lot of followers, 220K, so it's pretty big. Yeah, people down in the comments are defending Cheez-Its. Unsanitary. Insects are not unsanitary. They're cleaner than... Yeah, someone said, how odd how not wanting to be unsanitary is considered racist by so-called anti-racist movement. Insects aren't unsanitary. You're more likely to get sick eating pork than you are eating insects. Again, go off. Look at these people. That's not say them. Let's promote this idea. Us. I hate that idea. No, there's no us. I hate that idea. There's a fringe group of people saying they're going to force us to eat them. It's let's promote this idea. And then it's us. They're going to force us to eat them. And then it's them. No, that's a conspiracy theory. Dumbass. God, this is making me more aggravated than this is just the misrepresentation. But let's look at some options for bug insect protein and their health benefits. 6 bugs you can eat. It may make your skin crawl, but some bugs are a good source of protein and healthy unsaturated fat. It's no wonder they're staples in non-Western diets. Could you eat something that once crawled on the floor or buzzed in your ear? The idea of edible bugs may sound strange among Western diners, but entomophagy, almost entomologist, entomophagy, or the practice of eating insects is anything but new in Asia, Africa, and South America. There are many cultures that have included insects as part of their diet for centuries, says Sujaya Rao, PhD, a professor and head of the Department of Entomology at the University of Minnesota in St. Paul. At the same time, this is the food of the future. We will need alternative foods that can be raised in small environments that are easy to raise, she says. Insects are the answer to that call. Health-wise, insects tick several nutritional boxes. Think about all the insects, or think about an insect that's so small, but picture a bee flying or a grasshopper jumping. They require a lot of muscle and energy to do those things, says Dr. Rail. you benefit from that when you eat them. In general, insects are rich in protein and low in carbohydrates. They contain essential minerals, including iron, zinc, calcium, and magnesium. They're also rich in unsaturated fat, which is a healthier source of fat than saturated fats. According to a review, the protein content of edible insects range from 30 to 60% dry weight after being processed, or 10 to 25% fresh weight, which is higher than plant protein sources like cereal, soybeans, and lentils, and can sometimes be greater than meat and eggs, says Antoinette Hardy, a registered dietitian nutritionist at the Ohio University Wexner Medical Center in Columbus. The fat content ranges widely from 10 to 60%, and it's mostly healthy unsaturated fat, she said. Important too are the environmental benefits of eating bugs. Consuming insects could potentially help solve food access, cost, and environmental issues in the United States, says Hardy. As Rayo points out, the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United States published a report looking ahead to 2050, when the worldwide population will be estimated 9 million. Insects, the report acknowledges, are a more sustainable option to help rectify food scarcity due to the lack of farmland, overfished oceans, and the effect of climate change and water shortage. Insects require far less water, land, and feed to raise compared to conventional animals like cattle. Yeah, for like mealworms and stuff, like your leftover veg is fine for them. They'll thrive on that. They'll be nom 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 nom. Yeah, it'll be good for them. There are almost 2,000 species of insects eaten worldwide, said Rao. Promoting edible insects doesn't mean foraging for them in your backyard. We're talking about raising them in a clean environment. Everybody can have their own insect farm at home, where they put their, like when you're making your salad, you put your vegetable waste into with the mealworms, and they eat it up, and then you can take the mealworms out when you want to eat them and fry them up, and they're good. I'm serious. I will do this one night if you all want me to on stream. I'll clean an area up in the kitchen and cook up some mealworms if you all want to watch me eat them and see if they're good. They're almost, where were we? We already read that. Yeah, we're talking about raising them in a really clean environment, she says. Insects have to eat organic food. If they were to feast on pesticide-laden feed, they'll die. Today, you can buy products in which insects have been processed into flour that you can use in everyday cooking and baking, or in which they're combined with familiar flavors or prepared with familiar foods, such as bars or cookies. If eating bugs is something you've never considered before, that's okay. But don't write them off. They're a staple in many cultures. Do you eat crab, lobster, and prawn? Those are close relatives of insects, and they are the bottom feeders of the ocean, says Rao. It's all in the mind. Consider trying it to see if you embrace different products. Here are 6 to add to your plate and the potential health benefits they offer. All right, which bugs are edible? Here's the 6. We're going to count them down. All right. I guess we're going to count them up because it's not down. Billie Eilish has a pet spider too, Gur. Yep. And welcome to the stream. Good morning. Crickets are a greater entry-level insect and contain probiotics. If you're not ready to eat an entire insect whole, crunch and all, a good gateway is cricket flour. One company, Exo, sells protein and energy bars made with cricket powder, ground crickets, so you can't even tell that they're full insects. 2 tablespoons of cricket flour, there are 50 calories, 6 grams of protein, 2.5 grams of fat, and 0.5 saturated. and less than 1 gram of carbs per the company. There is also preliminary evidence that crickets support gut health. And eating them spurs the growth of certain good for you probiotics. We got some people eating them here. You want to watch?
Testing ants. Like many other bugs, ants are high in protein and relatively low in fat and carbohydrates.
Are these the edible
We
ants?
have 3 brave taste testers in the studio today who are going to try ants in 3 different forms.
And remember, this is different than ants in your backyard. The ants in your backyard are like super acidic. White chocolate wafers.
Hey,
with
let's
ants.
give this a try.
This is ants, huh? It looks pretty. I mean, if you had to get ants, I guess this is how I'd want to get ants. It just tastes like candy.
Tastes like white chocolate. I don't taste anything buggy about it. There's one. It's a little crispy.
And there's a little crunch, and I don't want to imagine what that is. I assume it's ants. But it doesn't taste bad.
You assume it's ants. You were told
Exactly
it's
how
ants.
you would imagine a bug would feel in your mouth. But honestly, delicious. I really like this chocolate. Do I have to finish it?
I'd eat it.
Ants with guacamole.
Oh my goodness. This is guac with ants. Okay, here we go.
Other than the little dead bodies, it looks normal.
Maybe a slight little crunch, but try not to think about the fact that
See, it's a
The crunch is
psychological
ants.
thing. Exactly.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and an
normally
entropy fan brings up a good point too. You are allowed to have with if you're making chocolate or making peanut butter, making anything that's ground up, making like cookies and pastries and stuff, anything with flour. There's a certain percentage of insect parts that you're already eating. You're already getting insect protein in some percentage, in some small percentage, but probably the equivalent of maybe one of these ants in that pile of guac is probably how much insect protein you eat on average a day. So just keep that in mind.
Guac. But that tastes good.
visually, I'm not too happy with how it looks.
Oh my gosh, that's the perfect name, Logan. The garnish of fallen soldiers. I'm down for that. I'm into that.
But it tastes great.
This looks like a little crispy ant pile.
So this is just ants, I assume?
Just
And I
ants.
guess I'm supposed to use my fingers. I'm not quite sure of the etiquette when it comes to eating bugs or
A
ants.
spoon?
It feels like breadcrumbs.
It's like a little mushy.
It's soft. The ants are a little wet, moist. I know that's a bad
Like a
word.
raisin?
As I'm touching it, it looks like legs are coming off. That's pretty gross.
I don't know why you would just eat a random pile of ants, but
See what they taste like. Vinegary.
oh, it's like salty, like they added some kind of spice or something to it. Unless that's just how ants taste, I have no idea.
Ugh, oh my gosh. Salty, gross.
Honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell that these are ants.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
I would definitely eat ants again.
Well, what do you think? Will we find protein-rich ants on your plate anytime soon?
All right. Number 2. Number 2 is mealworms, which is probably what I think is the most, probably going to be the easiest to promote as eaten whole, because they kind of like French fries, but maybe for some people they look too much like maggots, though. I think that might be a visceral response that people have, because the sight of maggots is, despite what that guy said about the apple and stuff, and our ancient ancestors that would have pulled a bug out of an apple and ate it. The response to seeing maggots on food is an indicator of that it's rotten. So those have never been an insect that our ancestors would typically try to eat. We would see those, and it would tell us that the meat or the fruit that they were on is not edible, it's not fresh, just naturally. But mealworms are not maggots. Mealworms are beetle larvae. They're like how butterflies have caterpillars. This is what beetles have. All beetles have some form of larva like this. The Hercules beetles have ones that are as big as a softball when they're fully grown. Anyway, go ahead and try broil, roast, fry, pan fry, deep fry, boil, steam, and microwave mealworms to eat, according to research. The research analyzes mealworms as a food source, and the author note that the broiling them make them smell like steamed corn. After drying and processing, mealworm larvae are 50% protein and 30% fat. This amount of fat is similar to that of whole milk powder. The researchers note they are not the leanest choice. Termites are rich in minerals such as magnesium. You never want to find these alive in your home, as they can cause massive destruction. But cultures in Africa and Asia dine on termites with relish. Most apes do. Most apes think, yum, termites. I mean, even the ones that are largely vegetarian, like gorillas, they see some termites and they get their little stick and they're like, yum, termites are good and they're full of protein that I need for my tummy, for my gut. And termites are good for your gut flora too. According to the study, termites are extremely rich in the minerals manganese, which play roles in the metabolism and is essential for strong bones and immune functions, notes the National Institute of Health. Termites contain up to 100 times the concentration of the mineral compared to other insects. In fact, they contain more than the safe limit of manganese to be eaten whole, or when eaten whole. Grasshoppers provide disease-fighting antioxidants. Are you into shrimp? Grasshoppers taste similar to the beloved seafood. To make them edible, the wings and legs are removed. They are high in protein and fat, but low in carbohydrates, according to a review. In Mexico, crickets are featured in tacos and are garnished on guacamole, Wired reported. In Japan, people eat them fried in soy sauce. You may want to include them as part of a disease-fighting diet. Grasshoppers are among the most antioxidant-rich insects, according to a scientific article. They contain 5 times more antioxidants than fresh orange juice. That's crazy. That's a lot of antioxidants. Black soldier fly larva, satisfying snack. I get these sometimes to feed my mantises. Though a study noted that larvae from black soldier flies are not one of the more frequently consumed insects, they are accessible right now. That's because in Portland, Oregon-based company Cricket Flour, which also produces cricket flour, sells larva bites made from roasted and seasoned black soldier fly larvae. Buying them already roasted and flavored, spicy cayenne or buffalo wing sauce is another way to try out edible insects. A 2 teaspoon serving has 50 calories, 3.5 grams of fat, 4 grams of protein, 2 grams of carbs, and 2 grams of fiber, making them a well-rounded snack. Cicadas are a great bite if you're a fan of shrimp. Yeah, this is pretty yummy. I was thinking about trying this because everybody's been posting pictures of cicadas because the big ones are falling dead right now. Some years you may notice a lot of cicadas in your area. And these critters are edible and are generally low in fat and high in protein, according to the Cleveland Clinic. If you have live cicadas, you should freeze them first to kill them humanely, per George Mason University. That said, acknowledging the people are eating cicadas, the U.S. Food and Drug Administrator has warned via Twitter that people who are allergic to seafood should not eat cicadas because they are related to shrimp and lobsters. They may also contain mercury. If you are pregnant or breastfeeding, you should avoid cicadas, notes the Cleveland Clinic. Also avoid them if you have gout. These insects even taste similar to shrimp, according to St. Montclair State University. Battering and frying these bugs and dipping them in chocolate are a yummy way to enjoy them at home, the university says. So, yeah, cicadas, that was always my warning to people, is don't eat them without making sure you cook them the same way you would with chicken, because they do come out of they do spend over winter in the earth, and depending on where you live, there can be a lot of heavy metals in the earth. So cook them and then you can eat them. But yeah, that was our segment on insect, on not wanting to eat bugs. I think this gentleman who we looked at before, this guy, misunderstands the way that this is being promoted. And the reason why the racist thing is to be like, is to be like, oh, it's disgusting and unsanitary to eat insects, when a lot of people in the world eat these and they're fine. It's cultural. So you're like, again, no one's asking you to, but to act like it's unhuman or it's disgusting for humans to eat these things. I mean, again, like I said, I don't like green beans. I thought if I just like tried to paint everybody who ate green beans is disgusting, that's what you're doing, friend. So maybe you need to work on yourself. All right, so that was that for our EcoNews, defending insect protein from undue ridicule. So thank you for joining me for that. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time.
Don't you dare.